content. Your name, sir?
Barry.
Barry, the floor is yours.
Sorry?
The floor is yours.
Well, thank you. We more or less arrive at a problem and we don't have a solution. And that is if free culture is going to thrive, we need to draw in a great deal, many more people than are in the fold now. And that's going to entail a number of different things. Right now, people have to do a lot of work to find out about free culture and to figure things out about their place in it. So there are going to have to be resources that take people handhold them through the process. And they're going to have to be resources that are, in particular, directed at artists, because the only way free culture, I think, will really thrive is if full-fledged artists participate in it. That means we also have to start developing a business model that is counter to the current media mogul publishing kind of model that can demonstrate successes and that can provide artists who are afraid of giving up what they know with some vision of other stuff, of another way.
So Barry, do you imagine this being a toolkit for sorts?
I imagine it being not one thing. But I mean, I, for example, put up a post-it for something that I'm calling Free Culture Club, which is kind of a long-term project where it'll be a site that will have some curatorial presentations so that we put forward the most attractive products of free culture for outsiders.
Is there a Drumbeat project?
There is not, but
there should be.
Yeah.
There certainly should be. Any questions for Barry?
So I'll add to what Barry just said, because I was also part of the group. We also talk about something more in general is the challenge that collaboration is facing. One is the incentive. So some things you don't need incentive to do it, but some things do require incentives. So how do we address this thing? Second is everybody's busy, but if you're a very boring time of the day, to contribute to something more meaningful. So that's two things.
It's a big problem. I mean, 2 minutes really can't cover it.
It's 2 minutes? Is a short period of time. Thank you, Barry. International group.
Well, that's us.
That's you guys. Your name, sir?
My name's Nick Muse.
Nick Muse, the floor is yours.
So our group was charged with addressing a political, international, or economic problem, preferably all rolled into one. So we had a sort of an interesting conversation about a few things. I think what it sort of coalesced around was an idea of using information similar to 311 kind of information. Phil works on something called Fix City, and I'm not familiar with these, but I'm going to check them out. And using that kind of information in an interactive way, but also pushing that information out through text messaging that will be able to engage people who maybe aren't necessarily using the computer in the same way that all of us in the room use a computer. They're much more using their mobile devices to get information. And it'll allow people to participate in the sort of information feedback about improving their city or accessing services that isn't dependent on just going to a website. So there's no project really, there's no drum beats or anything, but I think that was sort of a kernel of one of the ideas that we were talking about. If that makes sense.
Any questions, suggestions, concerns, recommendations?
Well, I have a general suggestion, and that is, will there be a page specifically for this conference with as many of the links and as many of the contacts?
As you asked.
Sorry?
We certainly will. And I'll show you that page in just one minute.
Go ahead, Chris.
Thanks. Thanks, Nick. Open hardware. Last group. Your name, sir?
My name is Ben.
Ben, you know the drill.
Okay.
There are only 3 people, so we just...
Yes. It's an open process.
We're all
so.
Ben, Sam, and James.
And yeah.
I drew
see for more types of objects, or Thingiverse expanded into more of a marketplace. Basically, a marketplace for the creation, modification, or actual construction of open hardware designs. So you go on, you say, oh, that's an open hardware design of something I would like. I am willing to pay $500 for it. Someone with a woodworking shop says, I would like to make that. It would be a nice project. Or someone with a business already existing is looking for more ways to use their already existing equipment. They want to find people that would pay them to build things with it. Or someone, there are hackerspaces springing up all over the place that are getting together various amounts of construction equipment, and how can we get people to have access to it used usefully.
So an Etsy for open hardware that people can build.
It's a collaborative marketplace for creators, consumers, and manufacturers.
And you guys just come up with this idea?
I mean, I wouldn't guarantee that it doesn't already exist. Well, but Pinocchio just does laser cutting of flat objects.
What about the model planes? The one by discrete center centimeter wire.
Say again?
The model planes. They are
Model planes.
yeah, the little planes.
Is this Pinocchio also?
No, that's a different one. That's the one that's
Pinocchio does laser cutting of sheet material, right?
yeah, no, I'm not sure what
Oh, okay.
Isn't there something called quirky?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things out there that do certain aspects of it. What we'd like to do is bring it together and allow the different manufacturers like Pinocchio to, collaborate if they wanted to. If they wanted to do. That's a great idea.
I guess I'm planning to go to the open hardware conference.
Really excited about that. Yeah. Open Hardware Conference in September. I don't know when it is.
Is that the Maker Faire, or is that
That's separate. Those are different.
Wait, two different.
Where is it? Go to vote. 2 days before. Yeah.
Hey, so any questions for this group?
If we have designs to submit to you, should we like write it on your back?
I think you should search for the places that are sort of already doing it that these people think exist, and maybe you get it.
Redundancy check.
So it sounds like the next step is somebody should put together a blog post listing all those places.
I have a friend with electronics design that none of those places can manufacture. So
Talk to me afterwards.
yeah. How do we contact you guys?
Talk to us afterwards.
So, just thank you guys, Sam, Ben, James. We'll definitely get you. I guess, wrapping up, a few more things we want to do before we take off. One is, let me just represent the Drumbeat meta group here. How do we continue the discussions we started here? How do we grow the community that we started here? We have a first step forward, and it's a wiki, which is usually a good first step. If you have notes that you took and you want to share them with us, there's pages that are sitting here waiting for you. You can put your contact information, any ideas you have about potentially awesome collaborations and Drumbeat projects. And I also have a handy link to the Drumbeat NYC focus search, which I don't think yields anything just yet. But hopefully, the pictures that you've taken, you'll graciously upload them to Flickr or the Web 2.0 service of your choice, so that people can see that.
Go back to the paper. Oh, there. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about Drumbeat?
Yes, absolutely.
So, also the event will be next. Is there a Drumbeat project for that? And yes, no. Why would I want to make a Drumbeat?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I'm sorry, I'm doing my best with Pat Sajak or something. Anyway, let me show you why you would want to do that, okay? Is there anyone here who wants to volunteer to be a guinea pig? Anyone who came up with an idea that would be kind of maybe worth exploring and wants to create a Drumbeat project page?
Any of those groups that want to make a project?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's project template. Come on, Sam. Yes. Okay. So we're going to live demo for you how this actually works.
Okay, so first let's sign up here. I think you don't have an account.
Well, I signed up for today, that's all.
That was on the Eventbrite though.
Okay, so
drumbeat.org.
But why would I want to do that?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
You should do both at the same time.
Okay, so I'll talk about why, and you'll sign up. Okay. So like we were saying before, Mozilla is well known for Firefox. There are a lot of developers involved with that project, but Mozilla wants to expand. They want to get the next million Mozillians to be involved with keeping the web open. And the only way to do that is to expand beyond developers, because there aren't enough developers to do the things we want to do. So the way we're doing it is we're creating a community of people who are coming up with open web ideas that they want to see happen. And by registering on the Drumbeat site, you can publish your ideas. So Sam's going to publish his open hardware idea, and on the site, you can actually collaborate with other people who are working on projects. So P2PU, for example, also has a project on the Drumbeat site, and there are hundreds of volunteers signed up to the project. So Mozilla has a huge audience, and is publishing this to all over the place. And we're going to drive traffic to your projects. So that's the first way we're going to help you. Is we're going to get you a lot of volunteers that are going to want to help out. The second way is with money. So if you have a good enough project and you are dedicated enough to actually making it happen, and there's community support for your project, Mozilla will actually give you a check and give you money to work on your project. At the early stages, it'll be small amounts, but after kind of a testing phase where you're getting things going, there are much larger grants available, like $100,000 grants, and even partnering opportunities with matching donations from outside foundations. So if you have ideas and you want to work on them, you should definitely post them to the Drumbeat site, because you'll get lots of collaborators. People will hear about it and help you out, and there's money available for.
So the typical scenario would be you have a good idea, and you put it on the Drumbeat page, and immediately everyone who's taking part in the community will see the idea. First of all, it's a great spigot for new collaborators, right? Especially people who may have already thought of an idea that someone can help you execute on it. There's also kind of some Kickstarter type functionality there. Anybody can go to your page and donate to your project, right? Which is actually kind of powerful too. Right now, it's not very advanced because Drumbeat's very young. Drumbeat's only been around in its form for a few months. But the idea being that it'll work the same way as Kickstarter. It'll be a Kickstarter that's focused on open web communities. And as he mentioned, there's matching grants. There's direct grants from Mozilla, lots of opportunities, and even some things that you would think didn't have a lot of value that are intangible can be incredibly helpful. Like I think Dean is working on a universal subtitles project, where one of the forms of support the Mozilla Foundation team offered was visibility on the Mozilla start page. Right? The Firefox start page, the default.
Inappropriate for
No child pornography, terrorism, drug trafficking.
No, but I mean, can you just be anything?
So there are some resources on what makes a good Drumbeat project. It's got to have a strong maker ethic. It's got to have a measurable way of solving some problem that exists to your web. It's got to make the web more open. Right? So just making something on the web probably isn't enough to get your project right. It has to be something that improves the web itself. So universal subtitles, in theory, improves the web. Right? It makes the web better and more dynamic. P2PU, in theory, improves the web. So it's things that improve the fabric of the web, and not necessarily the tech, but it can also be the social layer of the web as well.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So the Drumbeat is all about individual projects.
Yeah.
What about the cross-project needs?
What's that?
Cross-project needs. So one of the things, for example, there is a billion of open source projects, but none of them are documented. Right? So one of the things that would make sense is to have the team that, the strong developers is recommendation that go around and basically go, okay, what's the top 50 open source projects? Roll in, a team of 10 or 20 and document the hell out of it.
Can I answer the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it, and I have another answer.
Cross manuals is already a Drumbeat project.
Right.
So go support cross manuals.
And that was actually the question I was going to ask. So do they actually take existing projects and then they go and attack the implementation from there?
Yes.
Okay.
And the other thing about cross-project support is, so there's a team of people who work on Drumbeat as their full-time job, and they have various fields of expertise. For example, with P2PU, we had a kind of marketing-ish thing where we were trying to get the